Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PHIL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PHIL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PHIL.
Hey, and welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, an adulting advice podcast production. I'm Danny Sheriff, and this is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. Let's dive in. And guys, please remember that I am not a doctor and nothing on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your physician. I know a question on your mind is, how long will recovery take me? And I know that because I get that question a lot. And it's tough because the timeline can be really unknown. And look, I can't give you a magic answer that's 100% accurate. But what I can do is ask you a whole lot of questions to understand things like what your lifestyle is, where your mindset's at, what have you already tried, what are you willing to try and not willing to try, and a lot more questions like that to determine a general range that you could expect. So I created a quiz to help get that answer to you because I was asking these types of questions to girls all the time. So I thought I'd make a quiz. And it's called How Long Might It Take to Get My Period Back? The quiz. So once you go through it and you answer the questions, it will give you not just a time range, but a quick description of how you might be feeling to help you connect with that answer and see it, make sure, yes, like this fits, this feels good for me. And don't worry, these ranges don't have to be set in stone at all. The goal is to allow you to look at the range that came based on your answers and decide, do I want to do this or do I want to speed this up? So once you get your range, you'll also get a few emails from me that week with some important tips that are specific to you to help you work through some of the roadblocks that could be slowing you down and in turn speed up your recovery time frame. So take the quiz now. Just head to quiz.thehasociety.com or find the link in the show notes and let's do this. That's quiz.thehasociety.com. About something else entirely.
I wish we were just talking about F1 or something like that.
What's wrong with talking about this?
It's more pressure to talk about this.
Why?
There's pressure.
Ugh, well, let's test the audio, shall we?
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm going to test. Okay. Now say something so I can test where you are. And are you comfortable? Would you like to move some things?
I would. Yes, I would like to move this around. I'll probably be sitting about here, and I'll be talking in about this tone and volume as well.
Is it okay if I use my hands?
Might I use my hands?
You are the only one that's ever shown up with a notebook, which I appreciate the preparation. All right, diving in. Now we're good.
Are you recording now?
I'm recording now. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm here with my husband, Jake. It's been like pulling teeth to get him to come on the show and chat with all of your thousands of ladies that listen. It's been really hard to get him to do this. I've had to prepare questions. He's needed time to sort it out. He's been the most diva guest that I've had on the show. That's mean, isn't it? Welcome.
Thank you.
Would you tell my listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do and stuff?
Hello, Danielle, my wife, and other ladies. My name is Jake Davis. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm Jake. I'm 34. I'm a database administrator at SurveyMonkey. And I like F1.
Beautiful.
And I'm your husband.
You're a natural fit for the show.
Perfect. I'm not nervous at all.
No. Before the show, Jake brought us up some tea as well, which is very sweet. So he's also a very good husband, father to our Doge, father to unborn child in belly, Zara. And y'all can't see this right now, but he's even wearing an HA Society t-shirt that he got made from us for Valentine's Day. So
I made it for you, but I did make myself a t-shirt. Yes.
So he's an all-around great guy.
And decided to show up today.
And he decided to show up. So we're recording this episode because I've actually had a bunch of requests. People really want some insight into how, I don't know, to get their own partner involved, or just another perspective on what it's like for the partner, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, during recovery, because it's a really hard time for us as the person trying to get our period back. Jake, like, imagine everyone listening is exactly like me. We're all totally manic. We're super anxious about the whole thing. The vast majority of the listeners actually do have partners, surprisingly, but there are some that don't, but that will in the future. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about, I guess, like, our experience together, and hopefully people can get some helpful advice and tips and insight from that.
I will do my best.
Thank you. Okay. Will you tell people how we met? I feel like it's a really good little introduction.
Sure. It was 1994 on the Eiffel Tower, and
I was born in 1992.
I know, just kidding. It did start in. Were you in Ireland or Scotland?
Are you going to go that far back?
Yeah.
Yeah, Scotland.
Okay. So in Scotland, a few years before we met, Danny stayed with one of my friends, Christy, in a hostel, and they became Facebook friends. And then a few years after that, Danny wanted to visit America, and so she hit up my friend Christy to come stay with her. So I got a message from Christy. She was like, hey, my friend from Australia is coming, and she got all the group of our friends in California together to come out for dinner. So I scoped out Danny on Facebook before the dinner. I was like, yep, she's hot. Definitely going to dinner. And then we met at Firestone in San Luis Obispo, California. And we hit it off pretty well. And then she took a trip we hung out the first week that she was there. Then she went to New York for the second week.
We did kiss that week.
We did.
The Halloween party.
Oh, that was that week, yeah.
Just so you know. I totally came on to him. I was getting vibes.
There were good vibes. And she went to New York for her second week, and we Skyped every night. And then when she was heading back to Australia, she had a layover in LA. So I drove down to LA to see her at the airport. And airport security, I didn't know how it worked because I'd never been on a plane before. I assumed she would
True
be,
story.
During a layover, I assumed she would be accessible to the public, and she was not. So when I messaged her, like, hey, where are you at? She somehow used her Australian accent, wonderability to leave the security checkpoint area at LAX to come hug me and kiss me for like 15 minutes, and then she was let back in through security without like checking. It's not a good.
That shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened. I'm very grateful that it did, but definitely did not expect that to happen at LAX. But I feel like an Australian girl in America just gets these.
I don't know. It's a really weird thing that happened. Just like it just should, I'm sure it's against all protocol. I didn't technically have a boarding pass that would allow me through the gates at LAX because it's New York to Sydney. There's no like leave and come back. So they were just in a really good mood that day.
Yep. I would love to get their story.
Yeah, okay. So that's how we met.
That's how we met and hit it off.
And then I flew my 15 hours home, spent 15 hours thinking about, oh shit, I got to break up with my boyfriend back home as soon as he picks me up from the airport, which is pretty much exactly what happened. And then we just started doing the long distance relationship. And then really quick, like it took a long time. I think we were almost a year, not quite, from like meeting till moving to America.
Yes, you moved like 1 week short of a year. You were able to move here on your green card.
So then we actually met on the 6th of October and we got married on the 6th of October the following year. So exactly a year. I had moved here on the 30th of September. Mm-hmm. So it was all very timely. And one very special skill about Jake is his paperwork abilities. Would you say they're just paperwork abilities?
Attention to detail and paperwork.
Like, I don't know how many of you guys, there's a pretty few people listening that will have done some kind of immigration process. The US doesn't like to make it easy at all. And Jake did like the research and the reading and he just got it all right the first time. And usually people get setbacks and requests for more information and further interviews and just mistakes and they have to redo forms. We just like got it done. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it was really, really impressive results.
It was. Mm-hmm. Saved a lot of money not getting a lawyer and stuff too.
Saved a lot of money. I really like to brag about that. And I kind of think he should start like a side hustle of some kind where he just like does paperwork for people. Mm-hmm. For like low risk people, you know.
I think I would enjoy that. And I just don't want to be in like immigration only. Like I feel like I could do other paperwork as well, you know. Like, why stop there?
Jake's paperwork services.
Yeah.
If you're not getting your paperwork done by Jake's paperwork services, you're not getting your paperwork done. Yes. Okay, I love it. So, 6th of September, 1 year later, 30th of September, 1 year later, we get to live together. And we probably had, in our long distance relationship, we probably had some moments where you got a taste of how I was living my life, mm-hmm. diet and exercise wise. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved to America and moved in with you and your grandma, you got like a really big taste. Mm-hmm. So do you remember much about that? Like anything to share of your experiences of me?
So I didn't understand I didn't understand working out because I didn't work out, and I didn't understand, calories in food and how to put together a meal and what all of that meant. So I truly had no idea what your struggle was about. You would just tell me that you were like hungry, but you can't eat because you're tracking. And, you know, I had no idea how many calories are in anything. So I'm just like, just have some fries, have a burger. Like I had no idea. And so, yeah, you would have bad days across the pond, and I would try my best doing what I can over Facebook Messenger to like cheer you up. You were working out. You would work at your cafe until like 3 or something, and then like Skype me for a little bit, and then you would drive a long way to go and work out for like 3 hours at Odd Socks, the gym, and you did that all the time, and it's like a very taxing daily schedule. Very taxing daily schedule, yes. I think I didn't see how much it was because I wasn't like physically there, but like looking back, it seems like it was probably way more intense than I had realized. But so you were this healthy person, or trying to be healthy, and competing as well, and so yeah, you would have bad days where you felt like you weren't a good weightlifter. You'd have bad days with food. I think early on in the relationship, like when it's super honeymoon phase, it was kind of like easier to pull you out of things a bit. Or at least you would let me feel that way over Facebook. But there wasn't really much I could do besides like just mindlessly say like, oh, like keep going, it's okay, it's good, because I really didn't know what the struggles were actually like.
And at that time, I know as well, what I wanted and needed from you was support in what I was trying to do. So you were, just cheering me on, and I would have bad days, but it was just like I was committing to this hard thing, and you were going to be there for me to keep me moving along. So you were like kind of trying to help me keep dieting and keep exercising, which most people are going to be able to relate to.
And I just think you were very intense about it. That's kind of the overall like feel of eating and working out for you was just, it was very intense. It was very serious. You took it very seriously, and you had high expectations. You were hard on yourself. So I think it was all, like it was your passion, and this is what you had to do for your passion. And so you just took it to the next level, though, to try and be elite.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said thanks.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Okay. So I feel like you went over basically what was hard. No, let's change this now.
Living together?
That was everything that was hard about it at the time. Would you say about like while I was in the dieting and the exercise, was not understanding it?
That was while you were away.
Yeah.
And then when we lived together with Grandma, basically I got more of it, yes, like you were saying, where like eating out was a huge problem, and like going to friends' houses was a huge problem because of the food situation. And so you would sometimes try and bring your food. I still didn't understand, like, if you order a side of veggies from a restaurant, I would never do that. But it's like, that's health, right? But you were like, no, they could cook it in a whole lot of oil. And it's like, you don't know that. You can't track that. So it was just like that level of extreme tracking where, if you didn't cook it yourself, you weren't going to eat it. So all of that was hard. And we had a bad time with friends sometimes because we did try to go out, like out in Morro Bay, and there was nothing on the menu for you, and you just lost it, and you left, and you were out on the street, and I went out after you, and you were just really upset because you were hungry. And I think from that time, that was early on, I learned, all right, we need to bring our own food. I was like, we need to get like an ice chest, keep it in the car with like safe snacks and veggies and meat or something like that. And my friend David came down after as well, and he was just like, he understood, and he was like, sounds like you should, be more prepared next time and stuff.
God. How, why did he understand? Why wasn't he just like, your girlfriend
guy.
Is psycho?
I know. He's a good guy.
You're all just good guys.
He's a good guy, yeah. I mean, I would be the same for him towards Callie, that's your best friend's, girlfriend or wife, so it's just like, of course it's not a psycho, it's like, people, and it's sad that you go there too, like, because the movies do that a lot, right, where it's just like,
yeah,
somebody has, but it's like, it's obviously that, like, there's something that needs to be helped there. It's not really healthy to be in that position where you break down at a restaurant. But you can be more prepared. There are different things you can do. You were trying to go there for me because it was with my friends, and you were living somewhere new, so all that was hard on you. And I just truthfully didn't understand as well about anything. And that all changed later and stuff like that, which makes it easier. So I think if the partner has an idea of, of what you're going through, trying to eat certain things, then probably wouldn't have been in as many bad situations as we were with me trying to like take us to play like on road trips. I'm like, let's just get McDonald's because that's what I do. And you're like, no.
Yeah, it's hard, and a lot of people will know that story for themselves too.
For sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people stressed out by social situations and going out because
It's a classic one. Definitely, it's definitely a classic one. I'm sure everybody has that as well, and you're no different. And I think, sometimes it was better being more prepared with snacks and stuff like that, but as you'll find out, it's just like you need to eat more anyway, and so we'll get to that, right?
Yeah, we get to yeah, so we're getting there now. So at some point, right, I had an OB-GYN appointment in San Luis Obispo, and I had told the OB-GYN, standard checkup, I don't have a period. And he was like, oh, well, that's something that we care about. We want you to get a period. He didn't really explain to me why. And he just prescribed me something called a progesterone challenge. A lot of the girls listening will know what the progesterone challenge is. It's a 9-day pill of progesterone that it takes to try and induce a bleed. And different doctors have different reasons for giving it. Some of it's actually just meant to be a test to see if you have a uterine lining building up, if there's anything to even shed, or if you don't. And then some will sort of incorrectly say this could help you just kickstart it and it'll be back on track, which isn't really true. I didn't want to take that pill. I remember feeling, judgments around taking medications, taking hormonal medication. I can do this, I can fix this. So that was the beginning of when I discovered it. I remember that day I went there, then I went to Scout, sat at my computer and started researching it. And it was a slow process for me because I at first was kind of in denial. I didn't fully understand what was going on. It took me a few days probably to discover that it had a name, hypothalamic amenorrhea, that it was happening to me I always knew it was happening to me because I was working out and dieting a lot. I didn't realize it was a pretty serious thing to not have. And eventually I was coming to terms with this idea of you should probably stop exercising as much and you should gain weight. And I actually think I didn't get to that point really until we moved to Texas.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you remember, but when we first moved here, I was tracking pretty diligently for about 2 months. So it was a really long process for me from finding out there's something wrong to finding out what was wrong to finding out how to fix it. And by the time we moved here, I was at one of my smallest body weights and was tracking really diligently. And I think there were good things and there were bad things. I was really proud of it. I was happy with the results that I had. And I was miserable. I was crying a lot. Things like that is what I remember. Do you remember anything about early days of me realizing this was a thing and battling with trying to take the steps I needed to take?
It took me a while to really understand that this was a bigger deal than it was, I think. In the beginning, I think in the very, very beginning, I was like, all right, do what you need to do to get your period back. I just didn't understand.
That's pretty much your main way of being.
Sure.
Just do what you got to do the thing you want to do.
Yeah. And I remember you tried other things as well. I didn't know how they would help, but you went to the chiropractor, and I remember the chiropractor was really excited to have, someone with HA because he wanted to see if he could get your period back because of the parts of the spines and that connect to reproductive stuff. I don't remember all the details.
Yep.
Insert technical explanation. And I don't remember, maybe early on, around that time, you would have had different things that you were trying.
That was the time where I was trying everything but weight gain and reducing exercise, yeah.
And you might have had some signs of a period.
So I had one period happen about 6 weeks after that chiropractic appointment. Mm-hmm. It might have even been 3 or 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten a spontaneous period.
Yeah.
And I was like, the chiropractic worked.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then it never came back for a bit after that. Yep.
Because actually the chiropractic didn't do shit, and it was a coincidence. Yeah. And what actually happened, And this might also just help explain why we're living with his grandma at the time, which we just like didn't explain. It just sounded like I moved to America to live with his grandma. Okay, I know I don't have to, but when you immigrate to the US, you're not really allowed to just start working in the way that we did it. So I had to wait to get a social security number, which takes like 5 months. It took 5 months. I had this awesome, amazing 5 months off. Totally guilt-free because you're not allowed to work. You're like, okay. And in the end, I think what it was an incredible amount of free time. Yes, I was training. Yes, I was tracking, but I wasn't working. And so I was getting a lot more rest. So I had a period.
Right.
During that time. And that makes a lot of sense now in hindsight.
Yes, I think that you did. I remember now that you pieced that together. Mm-hmm. And I ended my lease with my apartment in San Luis to move in with my grandma so you could move in with
That's
us.
Right, because if
you're going to explain why.
Sorry, I just didn't even explain.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had his own apartment and everything, but because I wasn't going to be able to work, and I'm a super anxious person about money, there was an opportunity to just like move in with his grandma, and she needed people around too. So it was like a win-win for everyone. So that's just what we did so that we didn't have to like starve. Mm-hmm. Would you like some one-on-one support to get your cycle back? Or how about to get it back and then actually get pregnant? Or not even all that, but to simply get back your actual life and be able to leave this whole "where's my cycle" nonsense behind you? I certainly have felt that way, so I know exactly what that's like. And that's why you can work with either me, Danny, or Ashley, my amazing co-coach, one-on-one. We help women keep sight of what's most important in recovery, set tactical, tangible goals, and create game plans to help them get their cycles on track. And we would love to do that with you. So when you sign up with us, we'll go over your history together, your biggest obstacles and your goals, and we'll start making a plan to reach them. Then, depending on your preference, you'll meet with us either weekly or bi-weekly to go over the week that was and plan again for the week ahead. So you always know what your next steps are, and you always have the validation of a coach who doesn't just understand but has actually been through this as well, and we've walked before you. Ashley and I have helped so many women get their cycles back, get pregnant, and get back to life. And we would love to help you get there too. And fun fact, all of our clients get access to the HA Society included in their coaching fee. So if you want to read more about other women's experiences, women that have worked with us, and book a free 15-minute consult with me to see if we're a good fit, head to thehasociety.com/coaching. That's thehasociety.com/coaching.
So yeah, and then now you're realizing that you need to eat more. That was very scary for you. Mm-hmm. And you would be excited about it sometimes because you're like, oh, like I should be able to eat this and I can. And then after the meal, you would feel shame or something. Like I feel like if you felt full or a certain amount of full, you have shame and feel like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. And then you're like hard on yourself. And I think that you have done that. You did that a lot early on. Mm-hmm. And being honest, you still do that even to this day sometimes. It's much, much less.
We have a thing where I tell Jake, I'll be like, can I tell you something? And he'll be like, yeah. And let's just say, what do I say? Like, I feel like I ate too much, or I feel bad about this thing that I ate. And I just tell him.
Well, now you just say, can I tell you what I ate today?
Yeah. Now I just say, yes, we'll be sitting on the couch or something, and I'll be having feelings about how much I ate. And I'll ask you if I can just tell you what I ate today to just like recap it. and I guess get your feedback.
Yeah, I think it just feels nice to tell somebody, and I'm always just like, it sounds normal and fine to me. Like,
Yeah.
you're really, it's not like you're like, I had 4 Big Macs today, you know. So you do that, and I am fine with like hearing what you ate. I think that makes you feel better. But the thing I try to stop you from doing is when you're asking me if you want to get dessert, and then you're trying to justify why it's okay for you to have dessert, because she'll be like, oh, I can have dessert because, you know, I actually really didn't get a lunch. I only had this salad and chicken or something like that, where she's trying to do this thing that she's trying to justify to me, probably more to herself, why it's okay to have dessert. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, you don't have to justify it. You can just have dessert. Like, that's the one that I don't like that you do. That'll call you out on.
Yeah, and that's important that you. That's why I like having you on the show today, because you know you gotta do that.
Yeah.
For your person.
Yep.
Sometimes.
And I remember, I think there was like a number. You had like 2,500 calories or something like that that you needed to hit. And so, like, that's a lot of food. That's just a lot of food. That's the number. Did you get that from, where did you get 2,500 calories from?
Oh, listeners are cracking up listening to this.
Why?
Just because it's like, everyone knows where the number comes from. Research.
Oh, okay.
That's the number in the space, right? Everyone's trying to hit 2,500 calories. I'm trying to hit it. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it comes from plenty of research that suggests that that's the number where the average woman regains a missing cycle.
Awesome. So, when you're not eating fast food, when you're eating mostly like cooked meals, you know, like most of the time good choices, that's hard to hit. That's really hard to hit. And so, yeah, when you need to eat that much food, but if you're
when you weren't eating anywhere near that before.
Sure, absolutely. It's very scary. Totally understandable. But it's just like, you know, that's a lot of food. So if you're doing a lot of cooking from home, like, chances are you're probably struggling to hit that number. Like, because that's 3. You can have 3 big meals for 2,500 calories easily. So
that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna like mention this later, but it's like, what I remember doing sometimes is you would feel guilty about what you're eating and tell me about it, and then I would tell you to track it and actually put it in my Fitness Pal, and every time, I think it only happened a few times, but every time you were nowhere near 2,500 calories. Like, you were freaking out about how much you ate, and I'm like, don't come at me if you ain't gonna track it and show me that you're actually like over 2,500 calories, you know?
Yeah. I was talking about that with someone recently. Like, it's a really common thing for us to just feel like we're eating so much. And I have a lot of girls message me, or in the society or something like that, come and say like, I'm just eating so much. I'm definitely eating like 3,000 calories, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, although a lot of us have a really good idea of what calories do look like, a lot of us are not tracking because it's not helpful for a lot of girls.
Yep.
And we're talking as though we know as a fact how much we've eaten.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, well, you don't have the evidence. So you cannot talk that you have objectively, definitely, without a doubt, eaten that much food, because you have no evidence. We're all just kind of basing it off feel. And some of us are doing a bit of math in our head.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, yeah.
And I'm not saying that you should track every day. I think that that's not necessary during this time. But I feel like track, you know, once a week or once every 2 weeks, like something that gives you a ballpark of where you're at to really know that you're hitting your 2,500. Because I bet that you're not. And I bet that you're definitely overestimating.
Yeah. Love it. And now we kind of already started talking about those things, but what else, if anything else, do you think helped or that you would have done differently or wish you'd known beforehand when we went into this together?
Yep. I think I wish that I was like more cute with you and told you that you were beautiful and that I was proud of what you were doing more. I think that a lot of my support was more reactionary, and I wish that I was more proactive with just like giving you words of affirmation and stuff like that. I think that that would really help, especially when you're eating more. Obviously, you're like, I'm, probably not feeling attractive because you have to eat more and stuff like that. So me being more proactive about it would have been better. There are kind of what we've already been saying. There's a lot of the same talks that you have week after week, especially in the beginning. It's just about, I feel like I'm eating too much and I'm going to gain this weight. And we always, like, I would hear you cry maybe, or I could just tell that you were really sad or something, and we would have the conversation around food, and it always ended good. I remember you always were like, thanks for talking to me, and like feeling better, and we would eventually get there, but it is the same conversation that you just have to have. Do
you think a lot of people's partners could struggle with that?
Probably. Or? I think like I definitely had thoughts while we were talking. I'm like we went over this, like, but it's very fair, because when I have an anxiety issue or something that I talk to you about multiple, I'm sure you're just like,
yeah, we've all got some shit that like comes up over and over again, no matter how many times we
totally.
Yeah.
So it's just like me saying that to you. It's like you can say that to me about things that I come at you with, and you're just like, bro, come on. And then, this was what I was going to say, like, actually track your food as well, if you're really feeling guilty around how much you ate. And I wish I would say things like, I'm glad to see you eating enough, or I'm glad to see you eating. Like, I never did that, but just looking back now, like, maybe that would have helped if I'm, like, actually praising you for the thing that you're doing.
So that's interesting.
Okay,
and do you want to hear a counter to that?
Yeah,
and
please.
why it's probably good that you didn't?
Okay, please.
And that might really work for some people. And
Sure.
I think it's important that people, like, sit with their partner and say, like, yes, that works for me. Or your partner could try things, and then you need to tell them, like, that did not work. And a lot of people, if they get praise, like, oh, you're looking really good now, or, I'm proud of, like, well, like, that's a good amount of food you have on your plate. That kind of thing can be really triggering for some girls, because it feels like confirmation of the fear. Right? Oh my God, sure. I am eating so much. Oh my God, he said I look good. That means I have gained weight, and it's noticeable. Okay. And even though it comes from this like positive place, and we all know objectively that this is a nice thing to do and it's good news, especially those with just disordered eating or eating disorders, it can be super triggering. So people just need to know what it is. And I think that, I don't know if you have this on your list or anything, but when you would comment on, or anyone would comment on the food on my plate, no matter what it was, or even just look at it, it would be really triggering for me.
You are absolutely right. I would say something positive about the dessert that you were getting, and it would trigger you, and you would have a fallout.
You'd be like, "Oh, you're having strawberries on top of it too."
Yeah,
and I'd be like,
"Yes, yep." Yeah. You're right. I'm not trying. So I gave that.
It would work for some people.
Sure, I'm not an expert spouse in all situations. This was just hindsight. In my eyes, it was like, oh, if I was like more positive about these things, it would maybe avoid fallouts, because it would like stop you before you get to the point of breaking down. But I can definitely, you are definitely right. I remember making a happy comment about your strawberries. Like I was genuinely excited. Oh, you got the strawberries! Like, and it would just spiral you, and then you wouldn't eat it. You would be like, nope, and then you just wouldn't eat it. Maybe you would dump it in the trash, like you were just like
pissed.
You were just pissed, and just like, I'm not having it. And then you would say, it's because you said something about my food.
It's funny, but it's really like, it doesn't even feel that long ago. And, and those things are still actually a problem for me.
They can still be a problem for you, yes. But so much has improved, and you are, I feel, much better around it all as we've gone through this. Like, it takes a long time.
And you'll do things still now where, like, because we don't have dessert every night anymore, just when we feel like it, or if dinner wasn't that big. And I might ask you, like, are you gonna have dessert? And if you say no, and then I, like, don't respond, and you're like, are you gonna have dessert? I'm like, no, it's okay. You're like, are you only saying no because I'm not having dessert? And you just question me. But then, you know, that's actually helpful, because it calls you out on, you know, why you might be doing that. And sometimes I genuinely am like, yeah, I really don't need it. Right. And then other times I'll be like, yeah, that's why I said no.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, please have dessert.
Yep. Sometimes I've forced myself to have dessert just so you could have dessert if you felt like it.
Aww.
But it's not like... I'm not having dessert because I don't want to eat too much. It's just I'm genuinely full or something like that.
Jake has a very, like, good relationship with food that I've always found really interesting. That he'll just, like, not eat things if he's not hungry, or... Well, dude, he's also a psychopath, because we'll go to the ice creamery and he'll get, like, if he could just get a sample size, he would. Mm-hmm.
I don't like sweets. Like, I'm not big on sweets. So too much ice cream in the smalls. Like, the smalls are too much. Do you have a baby cup of the...
I'll get like a double scoop
waffle
monstrosity cone. And you'll get this like a little cup with a single spoon, like half scoop.
Can I use the sample spoon to like get it to fit it in the cup? And then,
so that's I think that's really helpful for people as well. Little side tip is, like, if it's something you can do, we don't want you to, like, change your life and your habits necessarily for us, but, you know, in the very beginning, it can be helpful if we need to eat more, if you eat with us.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And we, make food and split it in two. And so then you're, like, making sure that you make enough. And, hey, I'm getting exactly the same amount as you. So it's like, don't, you can't get triggered off of that. Like, we're having the exact same. And I'm in it with you. Yeah. Which we just naturally did that a lot. I mean, that's, like, how people probably mostly cook, right? Is just split it in two. But maybe some partners like to eat more.
Story with, like, well, he's so much bigger than me.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But, yeah. Splitting it directly in half is probably a really good method.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. And since, I guess this is kind of like fast forwarding, but it was kind of like it's a slow journey, and then you sort of like look back and you're like, oh, look how far I've come. And I think I've come very far.
You have.
And a lot of things are just really good now. What are some of those things for you?
Well, the best one is Zara Jacobs' daughter, Davis Sheriff.
No.
I am observing the Icelandic tradition of naming my baby Jacob's daughter as the middle name.
We are not at all Icelandic. Yes.
So I mean, I feel all your work ultimately led to us having Zara. And so I think that's the best one. Second best is probably having chips at Mexican restaurants.
Yes.
You used to not have chips.
I would ask if we could please not have the chips on the table. Like, because if they're there, it's really hard.
That's actually the hardest part about this whole journey, was probably not having the chips at the Mexican restaurants. Like, what do I do? I mean, like, life and social events and date nights and all that are obviously better, and that's I feel like the classic example of, having to eat more is being able to enjoy those types of events more. I feel like it ultimately makes you happier and healthier, and we get more sex, and there's way less breakdowns and panics, and then I think we have a stronger bond just because we sort of kind of like overcame something together. But I also want to just point out that, 99% of it was all your work, but I just feel like I went through it with you, just like as your husband, so that in the end makes us closer, and I do feel closer to you. And I think also raising a baby now, or going through pregnancy now, is making me feel that even more. So I just think that those are all
really
positives. Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the more sex one was for the guys,
Well, it's for the girls too. We're
And
really
for the
sad
girls,
that we
too.
don't want to have sex.
yeah, so you definitely will feel like it more in the mood, and just being honest, sometimes it's it gets hard if you have sex less and you try more, but if the girl's not feeling like it or something, then it just and this goes both ways, where you start asking less because you don't want to get turned down anymore or something like that. And so it's just very real, but that gets better. And so eating more to get your cycle back, and your body's not working how it should, that's huge. Of course there's going to be these other and crazy effects of that. So
yeah, a lot of people, we kind of feel like we just don't want to have sex anymore because we're broken, and because we're older now, and it's just not exciting, and it's not that good anyway. But really, when you have HA, it's just really dry and tight in there, and it's really painful. So we're like, why would anyone ever want to do this? And we just don't want to be touched, and we're tired, and we're moody. And the thought of it sucks. Yeah. And it also makes us really sad that we don't want to do it.
Well, I would feel like I wasn't turning you on enough as well. At least in the beginning, when I didn't understand, I have not been with a girl who had HA before. So I'm just oh, what am I don't know what to do here. So,
yeah.
But it's absolutely when somebody's not, when the body is not working how it should, it makes total sense, and it's not really you, and it's not me, it's
the HA.
It's the HA.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Any closing thought to any men that have been forced to listen to this?
Yes. The first thing is, I don't know if it's the biggest one, but when your girl says that she needs to gain weight, it does not mean that she's going to become obese.
Yes, thank you.
That one gets me the most, and so it's just don't be a dick. That's not what it means. And if she has to gain 10 pounds or more, you'll most likely not really notice. 10 pounds, it sounds like a lot, and it's this number that people are oh, I gained 10 pounds. But I don't think that it's really a whole lot.
Some of it's going to go to the boobs.
Some of it'll go to the boobs. And when they say they need to gain weight, it doesn't mean that I need to start eating Big Macs now. It's you're still eating. You should still be eating healthy and good choice foods. You just need to eat more of that, and eating more whole foods and all that stuff is great. Be prepared to have the same conversations around food for a very long time, and make sure they hit their calorie goals. And if they complain, ask them to track and check themselves and go through
if that's something that they can be doing. Yeah,
I just mean okay, if you had a hard time today, track your food tomorrow and see what you hit, just to I just really believe that will that's physical, actual proof that you're not eating enough. And
which I can also imagine everyone's super analytical partner being this is, you must track you need the data.
Right, we need the data, boo. And when when you do get your period back, words.
Yeah.
Tracking your cycle is still can mean like guaranteed condomless sex.
Very
because
positive.
you know, yeah, just like right now, if someone can't get pregnant, but I like if it's a big deal to some people for like having sex without a condom, and you know, I'm sure most people are probably doing this to try to get pregnant, but some girls probably just want to get their cycle back. So for the guys, you know, if she's tracking her cycle and because she's got her period back, you can have condomless sex without worrying about getting pregnant.
There's something in it for everyone.
I was trying to make a positive, like a big positive.
No, that's a big positive.
Yeah.
We also don't want to sit and wait for you guys to put that thing on.
Sure. Yeah, nobody does. This has probably been, the girl's probably been years of pushing too hard. So you need to be patient because it could take many months or a year or more. And the girl's doing a lot. So, you know, and once she gets her period back, if she then gets pregnant, like she's going to be doing most of that work as well. So it's like, you know, there's going to be a few years of a lot of hard work from your lady. So like be patient and be supportive and be proud. She's trying to eventually carry your baby. So like, I just feel like that maybe goes unrecognized a whole lot. It's like, that's like the ultimate goal, right? Like you want your body to get back. Yeah, but you want to get pregnant and have a family and stuff. And so this is really like, you have to want to do this and you have to make the decisions on eating and exercising, all these things that are going against years of what you've been doing the opposite of. That's a lot of work and that's really hard discipline. So, and the last thing is observe the Icelandic tradition as well, so that you can name your baby blank daughter or son.
Whatever your name is,
Yeah.
and then daughter or son on the end.
Yeah, and it's spelled cool too. It's like Dottir or something like that.
Maybe we'll have some. I feel like this podcast ranks in the top 100 in Iceland somewhere.
Ah, yes.
That's my reply.
Love it.
Yeah, and that just makes me think like it feels like a really slow process, and even for us going through it, we feel like we're not getting anywhere. But it's really worth it at the end. I feel like it probably from start to finish. I'm never finished, you know, but from start to where I am now was like 3 years or something.
Yeah, and think how many years you were pushing yourself as hard as you were, and working out harder and eating less and whatever else everyone's done. Like, I'm sure it's not just like it's a problem because you've been doing something against what your body wants, I guess, for years. So it will take that amount of time as well, just like healing anything like long term like that. So you just really have to be patient and you know, don't give up hope. Like, we definitely had highs and lows and celebrated the you know, when you did have some sign of a cycle back, and but then it didn't come the next month. Like, you kept going, you didn't give up. So
Yeah.
and now you're pregnant.
Woo! Thanks.
Yeah.
And then bonus question, because girls ask me all the time, are you excited about having a baby?
I'm so excited. I am waiting to feel nervous and scared, but I'm still just pumped like I got this, which I feel is just totally false feeling, but I'm running like I don't care, just fast as I can towards like...
This is going to be easy.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I know it's not going to be, but when I think about it, I'm just pumped and hyped, and I can't wait to have a baby.
Cool.
With you.
Thanks. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Jacob Davis.
You are welcome, my wife, Danielle.
I hope this was helpful, and I'll see all of you guys next week.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast.
really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
If you've got a passion for pumpkin, you've got to get to Dunkin' and pick these up. Our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam. And our delicious pumpkin spice signature latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. And our perfectly pumpkin donuts, munchkins treats, pumpkin muffins, and more. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Pick your pumpkin at Dunkin', like our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, and our perfectly pumpkin treats. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now enjoy a large iced coffee for just $2 and a breakfast sandwich to make a meal. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.